everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with Spellbinders, and for today's projects we're going to make 3 and we are going to combine the Glimmer and the Amazing Paper Grace Club Kits of the month for March. I thought these were perfectly, they were perfect to be paired together. So this is what the kit looks like. Now remember, mine are sent to me early, so you get a card. It's like a 6x8 card for each of your kits, where I'm able to print them down. So, okay. So for each kit, the Amazing Paper Grace is called the Mini 3D Vignette Floral Mason Jar, but I'm going to do a few things just a little bit different with that. And then the Glimmer Club Kit is called Let Your Sentiments Shine Brighter. And there are some beautiful sentiments there. Again, and they're statements. You know, don't get me wrong. It's, you know, I love all the sentiments. But, you know, again, you know, it kind of matches with what you create. So these are just simple statements. They get to the point, in other words. All right, so what I'm going to do, now that I've rambled through that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot foil my sentiments first, and I'm going to get that done and get that out of the way. Now, there's a lot of die cutting that I did, and of course I did that off camera just to save some time. So I have my panels here, and I've cut them down to the sizes just for the sentiments. I'm going to use my washi tape to make sure that the sentiments are centered on these pieces of cardstock that I've cut. And then I'm going to cut down my foil. And I'm using those pieces of washi tape as a hinge. So that, again, my sentiment will stay in its place. I have my Glimmer Hot Foil system heating up. I needed to reset it because, of course, I was thinking through some things. I walked away to do something else. And, and hello. Yes, because it does have an automatic shutdown, which is awesome. So making sure once I have my foil, and I'm using silver, and remember, with each of your Glimmer kits, you will get a roll of foil that goes with it. So you're able to build up your collection really nice. I do like to put a shim in between the clear plate and the plastic shim, and it is a 110-pound piece of cardstock by Recollections, or an 80-pound will work too. So you can see these beautiful sentiments that I have, and they just foiled beautifully with that added pressure, and I did not get any ghosting. So I'm going to set that aside just to give myself some more room. And what I'm going to do now is focus in on the Amazing Paper Grace side. So I've done all kinds of die cutting. So within this die, you have these floral images. Now what's great is these floral, the flowers, let's just go with that. They're layered. You have multiple layers with these. So you can see I have a set of white flowers off to the right there, and then I have some peach, purple, and yellow with the green leaves to the center, and then I have some ivory and stems off to the side as well. So these are what I'm going to use for each of the cards. So when it comes to the first set of flowers, I am using a dye ink that just totally escaped the name of it. I believe it is Stormy Weather. It's a gray, but it's got a sense of blue to it. And I'm only putting that right in the center. And I'm using my finger sponge daubers, and I'm using the Distress ink. I am not using oxides. I know, surprising, right? Now, don't fear, because oxides will be coming in, and they're going to come in right now. So what I'm using here is I want to create this background panel, and I'm going to use tumbled glass and broken china, and I'm using one of my makeup brushes to blend this through. Now, when I'm creating a sky with my oxides, I'm not particular. I'm not looking for a smooth blend. I want it to be blotchy. I want it to be scattered because then it looks like there's clouds within the sky. I don't have to use a stencil. I don't have to use, you know, a form, or, you know, you can always cut your own cardstock shape out. But this kind of does it. It just gives that, you know, little bit of muddled look in the background. I'm coming in now with the broken china all throughout the piece. Again, no rhyme or reason here. We're just going to town and having fun, because remember, we don't need to be perfect when we create. We just need to enjoy the process. Right? Everyone should be saying right. So now I'm going to work on the other flowers. So you can tell those first flowers that I inked up and that background panel, they're going to be working together. So now I have all of these pieces here, and it's a poppy. So I used ivory cardstock to cut these out. Now the ink that I'm going to use for these with a finger sponge dauber again is I am actually going to use, I believe it's abandoned coral. No. Did I use abandoned coral? Yes, I did. Jeez. Yes, I did. And I'm just putting that towards the bottom. Not towards the top, but towards the bottom. And I hope I get these colors right. You'd think I'd write them down. Yeah, I didn't. I know, someone will be upset. Can't help it. So, I'm coming in just creating that bottom to shade it, to add a little bit of dimension to these, because I want to use the ivory cardstock as the highlight. Now you could put more ink if you want, by all means. You could have reversed this. So here I'm actually using a peach cardstock, and then I'm still adding that same color. So same idea, just getting a different look because of the different cardstock that I'm using. For the yellow flowers, I'm coming in with a wild honey. And again, just coming into the centers. Again, just adding that shading, adding that depth. Now, you could splatter these. You could use, use your watercolor backgrounds if you have any there, or your ink, whatever you have. Or, again, you could just keep it with the solid cardstock. For the purples, I'm actually going to use shaded lilac. So you can see pretty much I have 3 of each flower coming across, and you can see how they are layering flowers, and they are so forgiving. I am really loving the layering die cuts. Yes, I am. I'm just loving them. I think they are awesome. Because you can do so much. You can use pattern paper. You can use solid cardstock. Add your inks, whatever inks you may have. It doesn't have to be a distress ink. Could be, either your Gina K's or Stampin' Up! Or Concord. Whatever inks, dye inks that you have, or distress inks. You can use them to add that shadow and depth. You can also use, if you don't have a huge color of inks, but you've got some acrylic paints, you can use them as well. Just putting it on with a sponge and just dabbing down the bottom. Why not? Why couldn't we add our mixed media to our cards? I love doing that. I think it adds a lot when it comes to our cards. So you can see I have all of that layered up. And then the last thing that we have are the leaves. So I am using forest moss for all of those leaves. Again, to give them shading. It's the one color that I can use just all around each of these leaves. Now you have 3 different types of leaves. Just like you have 3 different types of flowers, you have the different types of leaves. You have the very small leaves, and then you have the smooth-edged leaf that's a little bit bigger, and then you have the jagged large leaves as well, which I think is great. It's perfect for mixing and matching. It's perfect for designing your flower to what you would want that to be. As you can see, we are already 10 minutes in. I keep everything in the videos as much as I can so that you can see it. When it's very repetitious, then I get rid of it. So here, cut a lot of the stems. Now what I'm doing is I'm gluing two of those stems together, just to give them a little bit of strength. Because honestly, at this point here, I was still making the vignette. I was going to make all of those multiple layers, so they were going to be standing up. But again, the beauty of creating is we can change our minds. We can think outside the box and we can come up with our own ideas or a different way to do something. So it's kind of what I did here. I kind of said, you know what? Nope, not going to do that. Nope, 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 not going to do that. So I'm showing each of the flowers. These are very easy to layer, as I was just gabbing there. I am so sorry. You actually follow the form of the base layer, and the other layers just simply line up along the bottom. That is how simple it is to put these together. Once I had them all together, which it took less time than all the inking that I did, now I'm adding the stems. Now the beauty of the stems, depending upon how you attach them to the base of your flower, you can either have a flower going off to the right or you can have a flower going off to the left. And again, that's the beauty of this. When it comes to the amazing Paper Grace die sets, Becca thinks of everything. She really, 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 really does. There's not anything that is ever missed, which is awesome. So you can see that I have all of my stems put together here onto my flowers. Now I'm going to add the leaves. So for the flower that looks like the marigold, okay, that's what I think it looks like. It's probably a different flower there. I'm using these smaller leaves. For the tulips, the purple, I'm using the larger smooth edge leaves. Now I did cut these in two different pieces of cardstock, and again, I used my scraps, which is awesome. You know, that's what this year's all about, using up what we have, absolutely. And then for the poppies, I'm using the jagged edge large leaves. And you can see I'm putting one to the back and I'm putting another to the front, because if I can hide if anything's sticking out, I'm able to do that. So I'm just going to keep on adding, and I like the way that looks where they cross, where you have one to the back of the stem, one to the front. I think it adds a little bit of dimension. I am keeping the leaves up close to the flowers, and there is a reason why I'm doing that. And again, for what I was thinking, I really wanted the photo that comes with for your inspiration on your card that you're going to get with your kit, showed all of these leaves at the top of the mason jars, and I just thought that was gorgeous. It's this beautiful full bouquet. So I really wanted to make sure that the leaves would be visible, they would be seen, and not lost, because I think they really add to the flowers. They're adding to the dimension of the image that we are creating through our die cutting, which I think is terrific. So here we're just adding the two colors, and again, I'm not worried about the placement. I know I've got all of the lights on the right and the dark greens on the left, although let's flip that. You know, the lights are on the left and the darks are on the right, but that's okay. Once everything's together, you're creating this bouquet, so it's all going to have itself around. So I grabbed, obviously there was another project that I was doing at some point, and I had all of these scrap pieces of a pale blue cardstock. Well, use them for this. So when you cut the mason jar and using the centerpiece to have the opening, you still have the little tabs. Here's where I decided, yeah, I'm not going to do the vignette. So I keep layering these. I cut this, I'm going to say, about 7 times, this piece here with the cutout for the mason jar. And again, you can do that. Like if you don't have double-sided foam tape, but you've got some scrap cardstock, you could keep cutting that so that you can create a shaker card and build up the size so that you can put your bits in there. I was leaning towards a shaker card, but I didn't know what I was going to put in there. I mean, yes, I could have put my iridescent sequins, I could have put some gems, absolutely, this would have been a very easy thought process, but it wasn't really hitting me. So you can see I'm just continually cutting off the sides. You can also see that I have one of the mason jars cut out as just the outline, so it's a solid piece. And there's a reason why I did that. And there's also something that I forgot to do. Because we all know, when Des creates, there is always something that she forgets, right? Right. Well, this is no different. Now, see, my bottle clogs up too. You gotta remember that. They're going to clog. Okay, needed to grab my coffee here. So, I also cut a piece of acetate. See, where I was going towards a shaker card. So I wanted to make sure that that piece of acetate is in there. And now, because I have all of those other layers, it's now raised. When you die cut the lid for the mason jar, I did use the Spellbinders Silver Mirror cardstock. And there's a slit in there. So I am actually now placing all of these flowers in there. I'm creating a bouquet. So you could have your bouquet be all one flower. You could have all of your, you could just use one die cut and use different colors for the flowers. But I was just really inspired by the beautiful colors that were used in that image. So these purples and peaches and this bright yellow is just jumping out. So as I'm putting them through that slot, I'm making sure also that my hand is on the other side because these will shift. I'm just saying, these will shift. But you can see the beautiful dimension that you're getting when it comes to these florals. I'm using some Scotch tape that I always keep off to the side just to hold all of this in place. All right, now I'm going to start gluing some things together on the top because that one, it was actually taped crooked and I didn't want to unpeel the tape off. But you can see what I forgot to do. So on that solid piece of cardstock for the mason jar, I wanted to add just some like gray or darker blue to give it some shadow. Yeah, I forgot. So we can just go with what we have here. And we had fun doing it. Now, this is the project that I focused on because I wanted to show you the hot foil system and focus on what the kit for the Amazing Paper Grace was as well. But remember, I showed you all of the other flowers that I was inking and everything else, and these are what the cards came out to look like. So those white cutouts that I used and that blue background, I turned them into clouds when it came to those images. And by doing that, we have the sentiment there, wishing you blue skies today and always. Here I made a slimline card using those ivory poppies. And for that one, I used the Glimmer sentiment, you're the spring in my step. And I allowed for those stems to come off. For this, I did use a 5x7 card base, and I also did that for when it came to wishing you blue skies today and always, because there's just so much. You can see it was kind of good that I didn't add the details to the bottom of that mason jar, because I cut the bottom off to make it fit on my card. I added a bow. No, I did not tie that bow. That bow was already tied that I saved from another project. Added it to the front, and then I fussy cut around that sentiment, just a note to say thank you. So I do hope that you enjoyed the ideas. I know someone will be upset because they're not seeing how I made those other two cards, but guys, all I did was ink up those images and put them on a panel. You guys can do that. But I do hope I gave you some inspiration. I hope I gave you some ideas on how you can combine the kits. That is the beauty of the Spellbinder Club kits. They are interactive. As always, the links to the clubs for Spellbinders will be listed down below, along with links to their blog and their shop. They're always running some fantastic sales so that you can enjoy your shopping experience. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below, and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, enjoy, smile, laugh. It will help. But most of all, always remember what's most important to me, no matter where you can do this, because we can do it everywhere. Always be creative, everyone. Until next time, take care.